Hello and welcome to Being Becca Live. I'm Becca Laurie Hector, your host of Being Becca Live. And this is where we all kind of gather once a week to talk about what it's like to be an adult autistic alive right now, what those challenges are, and how we're kind of functioning through it, what is it that we're dealing with and how do we get through it? And so that's kind of what this has become for us, a little spot to sort of chat about that stuff. I don't have a specific topic today. I just want to talk about yesterday. Yesterday was my first day back at work. It was the first day back working for somebody else. And it was the first day where I was really, hey Bernard, where I was really away from the computer and away from autism stuff all day. And it's been a long time since I've done a proper work day, like a real work day. And when you work in the animal care industry, the hours are a little odd. They're a little bit more like medical healthcare hours. So sometimes you get a long shift. When I used to work way back when I first started doing this, good morning, Nancy, and I used to work at a shelter, all of my shifts were 12-hour shifts. I used to work 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I don't mind that. I'm somebody who is like, once I'm in motion, I'd rather stay in motion because once I stop moving, it's really hard to get me back up. But I wanted to talk about some of the things that I did differently, some of the things that I didn't, some of the things that I kind of took away from yesterday, and that stuff that I want to share with you guys. And I wonder if we'll have some similarities and some overlap and just some interesting observations that I made, so that you know that this journey doesn't go anywhere, that no matter how far along you are in this whole personal development piece, there are always going to be challenges. And that's why personal development is so important, that we learn those skill sets. And anyway, so here we are. And so I just think it'll be really interesting for us to think about it. So first of all, let me begin by saying that for the first time in my entire life, and I am not exaggerating this in any way. Hey, CV, for the very first time in my entire life, I was not anxious the entire day before. I was not anxious the morning of. I wasn't. And that let me know that when you make a decision really in alignment and one that you've been working towards and goaling towards and all of these things, it really doesn't feel as uncomfortable as those decisions that we sort of make spur of the moment, that maybe without so much thought, maybe decisions we made kind of out of habit, don't feel quite the same way. So the first thing I want you to know is that this is the first time that I was starting a new job and I didn't feel overwhelmed by it and I didn't feel anxiety ridden by it. I was actually really excited to start, which let me know that I was really on the right track for myself personally, right? I mean, I wasn't feeling like, oh no, I need to take care of this in autism land, I can't go do that or whatever I was feeling, or that, oh, this isn't going to work out for me, I don't know. None of those things were happening for me. Because I was really so grounded in this decision to do this. The other thing about it is that I was smart about the way that I went about it, right? I, went and I did a trial work day. I talked a lot about, my honest experience and things like that. And just a whole bunch of other things about the way that I entered into the whole idea of working again. Okay, so yesterday was my first day back first day back. I feel like it's back because I used to tech all the time. And so it used to be my job. And so I feel like I'm going back to an old job, which is really nice. This is the one job that I ever had in my life that I truly enjoyed doing every single day at 12 hours a day. I loved it, right? So, yeah, I was excited to go. Let's just say that. Here were the things that I was not excited about. Here's what made me nervous. Some things were worrisome to me. Getting up in the morning and getting there. Knowing that I'm a slow transitioner from wake up to going places, right? And I've talked about that with you guys a lot. And I'm also not a morning person necessarily. I talk to you guys about that a lot, right? So here are the first two challenges. So one of the things that I did was We worked the food truck and everything, and then we had Monday off. So one of the things I did for myself was on Monday, I didn't let myself sleep late. I stayed getting up at that early time I was getting up for the truck, so that it didn't feel like I was getting up all that much earlier, right? I continued the habit so that I didn't have that break in it and sleep late and then have to get up early the next day. Okay, so that's the first thing that I did. The second thing that I did was realize that I'm not good at things like picking out clothes and getting ready in the morning. Those are things that slow me down. So the day before, I picked out my clothes, and that was something that in and of itself was an anxiety thing for me. I just want to share that with you. Knowing that I needed to pick clothes that were in alignment with myself, right? So that they were comfortable all day, they didn't distract from what I was doing, and at the same time were something appropriate that I could wear at the vet's office to work. So of course scrubs would be the natural thing, but I don't have my scrubs anymore. I got rid of them years ago. And so I had ordered a pair, but of course they didn't arrive in time. So my anxiety was, well, I don't have scrubs. What am I going to wear? And of course, so many of my shirts say stuff, which is fine when you wear scrubs because you put them right over. But I wanted to wear something a little on the plain side. So I ended up wearing my Resilient t-shirt that I made myself, and a pair of leggings. And I had Antonio kind of work with me about a couple of options of pants and things like that. So by midday the day before, my clothes were already set out for the next day so that I didn't have to spend the rest of the day thinking about it or worry about it in the morning. Right. And then the last thing that I did for myself was to shower the night before so that in the morning I didn't have to add a shower to my get ready routine. That was already going to be new to me. And the third thing that I did for myself is to really prepare myself for that whole day, right? So to rest the day before, all of those things. And then the day of, what I did was make sure that I got up earlier than I would normally get up. So here, I'm somebody who loves to sleep. I'm somebody who hates the early morning. So my entire life, when I got up to go to work, I would get up with the least amount of time possible to get ready. Like I wanted to sleep as much as possible, get up, get ready, and leave, right? The problem with that is if you don't have a long commute or something like that, you don't have that buffer time to wake up. Right. And I'm somebody who needs that. I need my morning routine. Right. I've talked about that. So what I did was I actually forced myself to get up even earlier than I would have to get up. Right. So that I had time to transition into awake. So I had time to do my morning routine before I left the house. And I was able to do that. Right. Here are some pitfalls I fell into, right? That were normal pitfalls for me. I have a lot of discomfort with eating in front of people, eating in places that aren't really for eating, and eating at times where other people aren't eating, right? So if I'm hungry and nobody else is hungry, it's really uncomfortable for me to eat in front of them. For some reason, I get really self-conscious about eating and what I look like eating and what I am eating and what I'm eating smells like, a whole lot of other things. And that's a part of trauma that came to me from my childhood. I'm very clear about where it comes from. I remember it exactly. And so I know where that comes from, right? But it's definitely an issue for me. So when I start a new job, it's something that I have to think about. Right? I don't have a choice. So I didn't do a great job, you guys. I'm going to tell you that I failed miserably for my first day, and I know I need to do better. Antonio and I were planning, he was going to make fresh chicken that morning, and he was going to bring me a sandwich, but I didn't plan very well. I didn't know if I had a set lunch hour. I didn't know how long it would be for. I didn't know when in the day it would come. And so I just brought a whole bunch of other snacks until he was able to bring me the sandwich. Now, here's the other thing. Talk to you guys about the 12-hour days, right? So Tuesdays at our vet's office are at late night so that people who work all day can still bring their pets to the office. So of course, my first day lands on a Tuesday. And of course, my very first day is going to be a 12-hour day. Well, it's 11 hours, but it always ends up being 12 hours because you get there a little bit early and you never leave right on time. So like that. So I was to start at 9 and we close at 8. And so I had to work that whole shift. Right. So you also get a little small dinner break in there. So I actually needed to cover 2 meals. And I also had to remember to take my medications that I usually take with dinner. Right. Okay. A lot of things to remember for this little brain. A lot of things. Right. On top of the fact that I was anxious. And so I didn't manage to get lunch on time. We had our lunch from, 1 to 2 or something like that. And you get a half hour in there, whatever it is. And I didn't have really my sandwich yet from Antonio. So I ate a granola bar and I had a vitamin, some drink with sugar in it to keep my sugar up. and that kind of thing. And then a couple hours later, Antonio came with my sandwich. Now, probably the right thing to do would have been to take 10 minutes and eat something, right, in between stuff. But I felt really paralyzed and really uncomfortable about eating when everyone else had already taken lunch and eaten, and I hadn't, right? But I should have. So I was really uncomfortable with that. So I kept it there, and I thought, well, when we get our dinner break, at least I'll eat that at dinner, right? Well, we didn't end up getting our dinner break because we had a client run over, and sometimes that happens, right? They come in for one thing and it ends up being a bigger problem than we thought it was going to be, and so their appointment takes a little bit longer. And that's kind of par for course, right? And I didn't get to have a dinner break. So I ended up not really eating all day. I ate a lot of little snacks and things throughout the day, and I drank a couple of sodas to keep my sugar up, but I did not do a good job on that front. But I also now know, right, exactly how it all works, that everyone gets a half an hour between 1 and 2. And then if you stay till 8, you should take a dinner break between 6 and 6:30, right? And so next time I'm on a Tuesday for 12 hours, I'm going to make sure that I do those things. And now that I know the times, I can either, if Antonio is going to bring me something, he knows what time to bring it to me by, or I can make sure that I'm bringing from home stuff that I'm comfortable eating, right? Lesson learned about that. I did remember to bring enough beverages though, so I didn't dehydrate, which was really, really good, especially up here in the mountains. It's super important. So I kind of failed on that front, right? It wasn't perfect. I came home last night. I was super exhausted. I ate a little something and I went to sleep. Paying the price for it today. My stomach's not happy today with anything that I'm eating or drinking. And so I'm paying the price, right? I'm feeling a little more run down today than I probably would have if I had eaten throughout the day. So lesson learned, right? Here's the other thing that I had sort of forgotten about me in a job. This is really specific to me and my autism and my trauma experiences and stuff like that. But I forgot how self-conscious I am and how much anxiety that causes when I'm in a group and they all know each other and I don't, right? So I'm new. I don't know how things go. I don't know how the routine goes. I don't know what's allowed, what's not allowed. I don't know how they joke or not joke with each other, and that kind of thing. Fortunately for me, this group of people have been my vet techs for a couple of years now for my dogs, and it's been my vet's office. So I'm a little bit familiar with how things work, right? But not from the employee side. So I had a lot of that stuff going on. And I forgot all these little self-conscious things about myself, that I get self-conscious when I need to leave to go to the bathroom, that I get self-conscious about my body language and stuff like that when I'm standing a lot. They were just odd how I look in my clothes. I was self-conscious about. And then, of course, underneath it all is that little bit of self-consciousness that comes from the internalized ableism, the trauma piece that's living in there about, am I going to say something weird? Am I going to do something weird? Will I say something inappropriate? Will I forget how to do certain things and embarrass myself professionally? That kind of stuff. And so I'm proud to say that even though I put all of that pressure on myself, which I should know better than to do, right? Another time that I slipped off, you can see. But what ended up happening for me in reality is that it all came back to me like riding bike. I really hadn't forgotten all that much. I needed little reminders, especially visual reminders. Like they had a lot of them were talking to me about stuff. And I said, I'm much better if you show me while you're talking about it, if you could show me how to do it, because if I can watch and listen at the same time, I learn much better. So like for the computer stuff, for example, learning how the computer program works. Of course, for me in my brain, those things are sort of intuitive, especially we build them to be intuitive these days. And so figuring out these programs isn't so difficult for me. It's memorizing the kind of language that they use in things and where they put stuff, right? We need to learn all of those things. But it doesn't do me any favors when you explain to me what I have to do on the computer. It's really a lot better for me if we're on the computer together and you're doing it and explaining it at the same time, or I'm doing it and you're explaining it to me. Right? That's how the autistic brain works. And so I had to do a lot of those reminders like, oh, can you show me, or can you do it in front of me so I can see, right? And then, but after they did, they would see that I picked it up really fast and I was able to do it the next time and the next time and the next time by myself. So I was feeling good about advocating for that stuff because I know that's what I really need in order to be reminded or to relearn things, right? And so I did well on that front. I was proud of myself for that piece. And I'm proud of myself for pushing through the day and for doing little things like taking Advil because I had a headache and asking if they had Advil there and things like that. There were small things I did for my own self-care that were better than some other things that I missed entirely, like food, right? I did a lot of things right, but there were some mistakes. And there were some things that I forgot about, like this extra strain that comes with that beginning week. See, like once I'm in, even next time, it won't be as stressful because once I've done it once and I kind of am used to people's personalities and the flow and the pace and how things roll, I know next time that anxiety will be less. But I had forgotten how terrible it is and how paralyzing it is for me. And so it will lighten over time. For me, that's something that only goes away with time and experience. Like, oh, okay, now I'm comfortable here and I know where things are and how everyone does things. And so then I will be comfortable with my authenticity, right? But I was a little bit paralyzed in my authenticity yesterday. I'm going to say that. It really felt that way inside. I don't know what it looked like on the outside for everybody else. We never know how people experience our anxiety. So I don't know what that looked like to everybody else. Probably to everybody else, I looked pretty functional and fine. Inside, there were moments where I wanted to go cry. There were moments where like I really felt like I was in school a little bit. I had a lot of reverb trauma about that, where I felt trapped there. Like, oh, I have to be here till 8. Oh, like I just want to be home and be able to do my own thing and whatever. And so when we did have our lunch break, even though I didn't have food, I was like, all right, I'm going to be the weirdo that goes and sits in their car at lunch because I needed that time away from feeling like I had eyes on me, if that makes sense. Like they probably weren't even paying attention. Nobody really does, but I needed a break from my own inner stress of feeling like I was being looked at, right? And so I went and I sat in my car, right? And that was brilliant for me to do. That little half an hour, 20 minutes in my car recharged me enough so that I could go back in there, drink a soda and be okay, right? And so reminding myself that it's okay to do that. And, you know, maybe people will follow suit if they need their own time, you know, we need to break away. And because it was raining outside, I couldn't just go and stand outside or just sit outside and eat my lunch. I had to go sit in my car and I needed to do that. I needed that time. So lesson learned there on that. And I will probably continue to do that. And so I wanted to share this with you. It's been about 20 minutes of me talking about my yesterday, but I wanted you to see how or hear how I processed through a first day. And I want you to know that I know I made mistakes, right? I'm aware of them. You can hear me talking about them. And all I'm looking at them as is an opportunity to do that better next time. Right? It's not a place to stay and recoup and like just be in it, right? No, I made mistakes and I could have done better and I should have known better, but I made a mistake, right? And that's it. Next time I'm going to do better and I'm leaving that, right? I'm also remembering to be kind to myself today, right? I had stuff on my calendar that I didn't have to do today, but I was like, oh, Wednesday I should do autism stuff because I'll be back at the vet on the next day and all of this stuff. And so, you know, I just cleared my calendar a little because I didn't take good care yesterday. If I had taken better care yesterday, I could have done more things today. Lesson learned, right? And all of that stuff has to follow. All of those thoughts have to follow. And all of that thinking pattern, right? And so I think it will get better. And I'm pretty sure this is something that I can do. I have to say, I don't know if I can do it more than 3 days a week at this point. They offered me up to 4. I may try that out and see how it goes. Maybe it'll be less exhausting the more I do it and I'll be able to pick up another day. Let's see, right? But I have had nothing but enjoyment in the animal part of it, like the actual job itself, right? And so this is the interesting part. The actual job itself, I really had forgotten very little, right? And of course, I can pick up the computer system very fast. I know how to engage with the clients. And so I hadn't forgotten a lot of it. And so for me, all of this anxiety is, do you see that it's so separate from the job itself? That's the other thing I want you to notice, is how my autism affects me in the workplace is so different from what people imagine. And it is so personal and it is so internal, right? And yet that struggle is real. right? And it's definitely, but it's not job related. It's not related to the skill sets that the job requires, right? It's not related to that. I'm not having anxiety about those things. It's the anxiety around everything else. So I'm glad to say that I have my scrubs have arrived, and so the clothes won't be a problem anymore. And there are things that I'm fixing, right? And that will be better. And I know with time, other parts that I don't have control over, like me feeling comfortable, only happens over time, right? And so, yes, Bernarda just caught that as I was about to say this. Yes, newness and novelty causes me anxiety. Yes, me too. Right. I like to be somewhere where I know the routine. I like knowing where things are, what drawers they're in, all of that. I like knowing the order of events that things happen in. And they're there in every workplace. But when you start a new job, all of that stuff is new to you. And that is where my anxiety comes from. A lot of it. Right. There will be places where it will show up later on as I'm at the job, and other worries. Like, for example, once I'm sort of done being the new person and done training, I'm sure I'm going to go through a nervous period where I'm like, oh, I hope I do all this right, and I'm on my own and that kind of thing. But that's a normal anxiety to feel. This other stuff that's surrounded about social anxiety, a lot of it is socially connected, right? Which is a big pattern I picked up yesterday. A lot of it was so socially connected, and a lot of it is directly related to trauma. For me, I found many trauma places yesterday that I had triggers and I didn't know, or I didn't remember, because your brain doesn't want to remember those things. So that's been really interesting for me. Yeah, that was my day yesterday. And will I go back? Yes, I go back on Friday. Will I wear my scrubs? Yes. Will that eliminate one problem? Yes. Will I pack a better meals and make sure that I take them because fuck what everybody thinks of me? Yes, because I should have done that yesterday, right? But I let my anxiety get in the way. And I will do all of those things better. So what I'm looking forward to is reporting back to you guys on Sunday after I will have worked Friday, my second day, and let you know how different it feels on the second time around, and let you know if that stuff has resolved itself. I'm curious. But I wanted to share that with you. I know it's not really a topic, but I want people to understand, and I want you to understand that you're not alone in this, right? And that I want other people out in the world to understand what it is about being autistic that makes the workplace difficult, right? There's this other level of things that we worry about that aren't the job itself, right? And so for me, that is the important part, is understanding that you can be very, very good at a job, and yet it still might not be the right job for you because of the other circumstances that surround it, right? I need us to understand that. Yes, Nancy, aren't you jealous? Nancy wants to be able to wear scrubs to work. I would wear scrubs. I told Antonio if I ever stop doing this, I think I'm still going to wear scrubs like I work in a healthcare institution. They are my all-time favorite thing to wear. And now they make all these fancy scrubs, Nancy, by the way. They make we used to just make, they were like partially cotton, just very square unisex scrubs. That's what it was, right? And now they make men's scrubs and women's scrubs, and they make all these fancy spandexy materials. So they're stretchy and soft and all of this. I had to do all kinds of research just to find the old fashioned kind, because I love the boxy top. I love the boxy top of the scrub set. And I just had to go looking for unisex scrubs, and find the cheapy weepy ones that I like, and not the fancy ones. So they came and I felt them, and they're soft, and they're the ones that I remember, and the right size and all of that stuff. And I can't wait, because every time you buy them, damn it, they feel the same and they fit the same. And I love that about scrubs. And so I can't wait. Let me catch up in the chat for a few minutes before I have to go, because I must go on time today. Yes, Nancy, thank you for being a fellow car sitter at your lunch break. It's always been my choice, and I've always sort of been an oddball about that, except for one of the other jobs that I worked at where we all took lunch in our car. So, it was a way to get out and away from everything, and put yourself in sort of a sensory bubble. And so I need to do that, and I will continue to do that for my lunches. And you continue to do it, Nancy, because that's, you know what, sometimes we need the bathroom or we need our cars, right? We just need that space. Let's see what else. Okay, where did CBC? Oh, this is really helpful to hear your internal experiences. I thought I was the only one who felt all these things. No, Isn't that crazy? I'm telling you that us autistics out there, we're experiencing the same things, and we just haven't talked about it yet. We haven't given it a name. We haven't placed it out there for the world to see and understand why we struggle in the workplace. It's not always about whether we have a cubicle that's loud or quiet, or the lights are bright or dark, right? There's more to it than that. And for those of us that were diagnosed late in life, there are trauma elements that are part of that, right? That we drag with us. And so no, Stevie, you are far from the only person who felt it. And definitely Nancy says you're not. And I think a lot of us are feeling that way, right? I think that is something we need to say out loud. We need to be honest and realistic that those are our challenges, right? That they're not necessarily about the job skill sets itself. There are other factors here. There are other social requirements that are factors in the workplace that we don't talk about, like your lunch hour, right? All of that stuff. So yeah, let's see. I tend to go for a walk rather than car sit at my lunch. So Ross says he either goes for a walk or he finds peace in the bathroom. Bathrooms are really common places to find autistics during lunch hour. We like to hide there, right? Walk, brilliant idea. I totally would have vibed with you in the walk, and I would have gone and done it yesterday if it wasn't pouring rain. But I think that's an excellent idea, and something I will also do if I don't feel like I just need to sit, right? So we need to think about these pieces when we're thinking about a job. And I know someone in there said a 12-hour day feels like a really long day. When you're on your feet and moving and working, it doesn't feel as bad as when you're sitting at a desk. Like an 8-hour day at a desk to me feels worse than a 12-hour day on my feet. That's how I am as a person. I don't mind doing 12-hour days, because once I'm up and I'm dressed and I'm there and I'm in the environment, it's all happening. And I might as well just do it for as long as you need me to do it, right? It was a little long for me, but it's only once a week that it's 12 hours. And so it shouldn't be too bad. I think I should be able to do it, but we'll see, right? I'm going to let you guys see how it all kind of plays out in the world. Because that's how it is for me. So yeah, Stevie has trauma around speech and communication. So then when we struggle around that, how do we ask the questions about the things that we really need, right? Well, I have to cut us short, you guys. I'm sorry. I could probably go on and talk about this stuff for another 20 minutes, but I do have a client coming. And so I have to make sure that I get off of here. So I hope that this was a good topic. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it in the title. I'll figure it out. But basically, I wanted to share with you the parts of the challenges of going back to work, the challenges of the workplace for autistic adults outside of the job skill sets, like not the job skill sets, the other stuff. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. The other stuff. Maybe that's what I'll call it. Anyway, you guys, thank you as always for joining me for being Becca Live, and for taking some time out of your day to spend your day with me. I do appreciate it very much as I appreciate your thumbs up and thumbs down, so I know if I'm on point with topics, and also your shares and your comments, which you can do wherever you see this video. If you'd like to reach me directly, please feel free to. You can email me directly at info@beccalory.com, or you can use the contact page on my website, which is beccalory.com. While you're there, you can check out the course and the seminars that I teach. You can also check out my Ko-Fi, the Redbubble store, and of course, my social media and my writing. It's all right there in one spot, so I can find it easily too. Until then, you guys, I will be out and about on the interwebs. I will, of course, be back here on Sunday for Growing Gratitude. And then I'll be back next Wednesday. Wednesday is our new day. Next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time for our next Being Back Alive. Thank you guys for joining me. I can't wait to see you guys out there in the world. And I can't wait to see your thoughts and feelings on this, because I'm curious. I'm pretty sure I'm not alone. I see I'm not alone in here. And I wonder if other people have had these experiences too, and how that's affected your choices. Anyway, until then, I will see you out and about on the interwebs. I love spending time with you guys. So go out there and create some joy, seek some joy, share some joy, all the joys. And I will see you on Sunday. Bye, guys.